In this video, we're going to talk about why successful business owners hate investing in the stock market. You know, it's so interesting to me because business owners are actually the best candidates to invest in the stock market. But they also just say to themselves, well, why should I invest in the stock market and get a 10% return when I can just invest in my own business and make 5 times that, 6 times that? And I get it, I understand why they think this way. Because it makes sense. If I'm getting 5 times return on my ad spend, why should I invest in stocks? Okay, so this logic makes sense to me, I understand it. And the biggest problem here is, as business owners, successful entrepreneurs, they are the best people to invest in stocks. And they're the ones that don't even want to do it. Whereas employees are the ones that want to invest because they view it as like an escape, and they're actually sometimes the least qualified people to do it. So let me explain. Your business makes 4 to 5 times what the market makes, so why even bother? The problem is you are the single point of failure in the business. Ask yourself this: if you swapped yourself or someone else, could your business run entirely without you whatsoever? The chances are no. Okay, I'd say 90% of businesses right now, the CEO or the founder, if they removed themselves entirely and replaced themselves, the business would not operate as efficiently. No one cares more about your business than you, and you know this. That's why you haven't done that. Okay, so you're the single point of failure. You know, if you get sick, these 5 times returns, these 10x returns stop, whereas the big blue chip tech monopolies, they will continue to compound and continue to grow. It's like an insurance against yourself. Yeah. Another factor is your business is illiquid. A lot of business owners are asset rich but cash poor. Their business could be worth, $5 million, but they can't just click a button and sell it. You can't do that. And yes, you can potentially borrow against your business. Borrow against private company shares. It can be done, but it's far more complicated. Another factor is lawsuits. Protecting yourself against a lawsuit. If you get sued, all your assets are tied to the business. The business is you and you are the business, so you're exposed. See, another factor is when I talk about borrowing against your own company, a lot of private equities actually borrow against these companies so that the balance sheet is almost neutral. This can actually deter people from suing the business, because if the assets and liabilities are the same, the business has no equity, actually it can deter people from suing the company. However, be very careful of doing that in a reactive state, because that would be classed as fraudulent conveyance. So that's something you would need to think about way in advance before you even consider doing something like that. But the point is, you've got to imagine that diversifying the actual assets you have, think of the business as your gold mine. You take the gold out of the mine and you put it in a vault. Okay, that's what you're going to start thinking about. See, a business owner is tailor-made for the volatility of certain stocks. Your big tech stocks can drop 10% in a day. And for an employee, that's all they have, that's all they've got. To them, that would, they can panic, they can't handle the volatility. Whereas you as a business owner have likely been on the brink of collapse. Okay, you've had tax bills come through, employees quitting, you've had a lot of volatility in your own business and your own life. Because every successful entrepreneur has experienced some sort of chaos, and they've developed thick skin and have got a callous to the chaos. So who better to be invested in certain big tech stocks than yourself as a business owner? So another factor is these big tech monopolies, as much as you might not want to admit it, they have 100 times stronger moat and pricing power than your own business. That's something a lot of business owners don't want to accept. But what I'm suggesting is you're outsourcing your stress and liability to these companies. Okay? See, we don't want to confuse your income as wealth. It's not the same thing. You've probably heard that 1,000 times, but you've got to take action on it. Because you see, with business owners, they are thinking, okay, why would I invest in these companies when I can invest in myself? Because if I invest in myself, I control the outcome. And that's false. You do not control the outcome. You control the effort. You can put the effort in, but it doesn't guarantee the environment, and it doesn't guarantee the outcome. Answer me this question. Did you control COVID? Do landlords control regulations? Do Amazon sellers control Amazon's policies? Do social media creators control the algorithm? Yeah? So it sometimes can be an illusion of control. So it's not always guaranteed for ourselves to control the outcome. So you need to factor that in. And we want to segregate our assets. Okay, if the assets are in like a holding company, that's completely separate to your primary business. Those assets can be protected. Okay? We've got more videos coming on asset protection. We can look at trusts, Wyoming LLCs, alternative LLCs. That's something else that we can look at. Another factor is businesses say that their business owners say that their business is their pension, the business is their retirement, but 90% of businesses do not sell. Okay, so relying on waiting to sell the business to become rich, why not just focus on getting rich now from the cash flow into investment opportunities? The buy, borrow, die framework was designed for successful entrepreneurs, and they're the last people that want to use the tool. And you've got broke people who think buy, borrow, die is like a hack. They're the ones that want to use it as an escape. And yet it is actually designed for business owners who don't want to use it because they just want to reinvest into their own business. So it's crazy. So I'm trying to show business owners that you're not abandoning your business by diversifying some of the cash flow. Okay, you're not giving up on it. You're just protecting yourself. It's like an insurance against your own business. And it is a segregated security. That's the way you want to look at it. So that's it. That's hopefully convincing you a little bit more to look at it from this angle and to invest in these companies. You know, as a business owner, you understand business, so it's going to be better for you to invest and understand these blue chip tech monopolies. Okay, you'll start to understand why they have moats and pricing powers. Whereas people that are just employed do not get that. They're checking their portfolio 7 times a day. Right? That's all they've got. They just check their portfolio. Whereas you as a business owner, you've got a purpose, you've got a goal, you've got things, you've got your own life going on, you're busy. You know, who better to be invested in, say, on the stock market? Okay, that's you're the prime candidate for it. So, do you know what? It was so interesting because it was an entrepreneur that gave me the idea for the video, because he said, you know, I just don't see the point. I don't want a 10% return. Listen, I don't want a 10% return either. If you watch my content, we don't want to chase average anyway, yeah? Because it's not good enough to beat inflation. Okay, we're up against monetary inflation, and our goal is to vastly outperform that, yeah? So, there you go. That's the content of why business owners should be investing in the stock market and diversifying away from their business.